Good evening and welcome to Current Issues. Host Hesham Tillawi. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our guest actually spent 50 days as a guest of the Queen of England. For 50 days, he was in a British prison. Dr. Frederick Toben, he is now in Australia. He was released from a London prison after spending 50 days there. Dr. Toben, welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, my time, and good evening, your time.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you. I know it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Actually, on Friday, not Thursday. We're still at 8 o'clock Thursday, but you are Friday afternoon.
Yes, Friday afternoon in Melbourne. And as I said last time, America will never catch up to Australia. We'll always be ahead. You're still Thursday evening.
Dr. Toben, I'm so happy to speak with you because for a while we were very worried that we might not be speaking with you there for a long time if you were extradited to Germany. Now, you were on your way to Dubai on October 1st when you were arrested there. Can you take us just like the couple of hours when you were in England? What exactly took place? Did you know what was happening? Tell us about like the first couple of hours in London.
Yeah, right. I will have to start just a little earlier. I left Chicago. Professor Arthur Butts and I spent the day together, and in the evening he drove me to Chicago Airport. And on the flight to London, it's a 7.5-hour flight. Initially, I had a flight from a seat right at the back on the left-hand side as you enter the plane on the windows there, and it was the aisle seat. But because the plane wasn't full, I was allowed to move to the center seating area where there were 5 seats in one row, empty, and I bunked down for the night. I slept for 7.5 hours. Then we landed at Heathrow Airport, and it was interesting because we stopped, the plane stopped, and nothing happened. Then an announcement came through, and they said, "We have an incident." And I'm familiar with these kinds of things. I sense, hey, there's something going on. And the next thing I see is a gentleman who walks along the aisle right to the end of the plane, and in the seat where I should have been sitting, another man had sat down, and I saw them having a conversation, and the man who was sitting in my seat shook his head. And then I realized, I think they're looking for me. and so the man walked back, and another announcement came through, would Dr. Toben please identify himself? And I then stood up. I had my hand luggage. I only travel with hand luggage. And I had that, and I just stood up, and you could see all the other passengers looking my way. I thought, well, this is a nice welcoming committee. And then the next announcement was, would you please come to the front exit? And I did that. So I walked. It was a very long walk. It appeared to be a very long walk. And in the entrance to the exit door, outside, I saw 4 men. The 3 of them in civilian clothes and one with a flak jacket where you saw on it police. And I stopped, and one gentleman said, would you please come, Dr. Toben, would you please come with us? And I said, oh, just one moment. I'll have to make a record of this. And I put my hand in my coat pocket and pulled out my camcorder. That was a silver object. And within a second, I was grabbed. They twisted my arms behind my back and dragged me out. Later, someone suggested I should complain about this, that I was manhandled and handcuffed. I was not. I would have, had I been the police, I would have done the same thing, because a silver object coming out of my pocket could have been a gun, although this would have precluded anything like that because of the security arrangements. You can't smuggle a gun onto a plane. The other argument was the plane, American Airline 98, I think it was, it's American territory. Not so. That's gone now. That planes that land in foreign countries, that the plane itself remains part of the country where it's registered. So I was taken off the plane and taken to passport. They stamped my passport with an entry visa. I was allowed to enter for 6 months. And then I had 4 gentlemen simply escorting me out. And you could see in the arrival terminal, there are people looking at me. I thought, well, that's nice. I've got they're taking me somewhere. Well, they took me to this wagon and put me in the back. And then in no time, I was at Heathrow police station.
Okay.
And from there, I was then, yes?
Yeah, and then what happened?
And from there, I was processed and taken to the City of Westminster Magistrates Court. And this was interesting. At 2 o'clock, I was in the police car, and an announcement came through the news, the BBC News, that a Dr. Gerald Toben had been arrested. Now, Gerald is my first name. I used the second name, the middle name. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Already the news is abroad that Toben's been arrested for Holocaust denial. Now, it would be interesting for the British because, as far as they're concerned, that's just somebody having an opinion. And what does that mean? Well, you don't criminalize thoughts in England, certainly not yet. And this matter then was aired.
Arriving home, Dr. Toben launched this stinging attack.
The fact that I was put in jail and someone said, now you can sue. I said, no, I'm not a Jew. I don't sue.
I received an email from you, and you mentioned that you do need to slow it down a bit, semi-retirement from this revisionism and pursuing of the truth. Are you giving up?
Not giving up. You can't really give up once you're into this. They won't let you. That's the first point. The second point, though, is that everything has been done. Gemma Rudolph, in his books, he summed up the argument. We've had Arthur Butts with The Hoax of the 20th Century, Willis Carter in 1969 writing or publishing The Myth of the 6 Million, Stakely in 1979, The Auschwitz Myth, and then in 1988, The Leuchter Report, and Gamma Rudolph's lectures on the Holocaust in 2005. The factual material is out there. I've done my bit by highlighting the difference between the legal systems, how they cope in criminalizing thoughts. And I don't think I can do much more. This Holocaust nonsense, which is always with death and destruction and accusing German people who are highly civilized, accusing them of having exterminated 6 million, which is it's just an absolute lie. And luckily in America I can still say this because you still have the first, isn't it the First Amendment?
Thank God for the First Amendment, yes.
We've got to watch out for Professor Alan Dershowitz because he's pushing this splitting free expression into free speech and hate speech.
Now, Dr. Toben, did 50 days in London made you change your mind and, for slowing down?
No, as I said, I prepared myself for 7 to 8 months in England and then a possible 4 years in Germany. Once you've been inside, it's a repeat. And at my age, I'm nearly 65. I spend a lot of time in a little room typing away and writing. I'm going to write a book on this.
نقترب كثيرا من هذه النهاية.
شكرا جزيلا.